What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection because this is a project that personally I was very excited about, and I've been playing it quite a bit, and I have some thoughts, both positive and negative. And honestly, a lot of my negatives are just confusion, but let's talk about that. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So let me begin by trying to explain what this collection is, because it is not a remaster, it's not a remake, it is a re-release. The difference being that this is the original graphics. When this came out in the early 2000s, both of these games were just so incredibly hyped. It was a crazy time for video games in general because suddenly we were getting completely new Star Wars movies. Obviously the Clone Wars saga, everything going on with young Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan, and I mean so much coolness with Darth Maul. And a lot of game developers were trying to figure out how to capture the wars of Star Wars. And I always felt like the Battlefront games did that the best. These are huge 64-person battles that have you going across the snows of Hoth and trying to drop huge walkers, running through crowded forests to kill clones, or even going against mechs in the hallways of the Death Star. And all these cool spots, these different scenes, these different set pieces still work incredibly well. But of the two games, the second one is definitely infinitely better. Now, let me talk about them both individually. In this package, I'm sure you've seen this, but everything looks kind of the exact same. There's no upscaling, there's no boosted frame rate, there's nothing really in here to actually modernize it, and that does include the controls themselves. So I'm playing this before launch. I got a super early review code, and while I've been playing it, of course, the servers currently do not exist. This will have 64-person multiplayer when it comes out, but unfortunately, it will not have crossplay, which means that I'm currently playing this on the PS5, but it's also going to be on PC, on Xbox, and on Nintendo Switch, and each of those different systems can only play with themselves. And that kind of sucks because I think it's cool when you have a bigger player base, a bigger pool of people to play with. And honestly, I never really cared much for the single-player campaigns in these. The first one especially is, in my opinion, pathetic. It's just a couple scripted battles that sort of like introduce the world and how battles work, whereas the second game, at least it does have objectives, and the actor who plays Boba Fett actually did a bunch of cool voiceover explaining different missions and objectives. So the first game, it is a bit clunky. I still think both of these are incredibly fun, but you know, the first game, it has really intense auto aim. It's got really weird stuff, like there really isn't reload animations. Your gun just kind of like dips off the screen and comes up with full ammo. These are obviously some very old games, but in the second one, I do feel like it feels particularly much more modern. It has sprint, it does have better aiming, it does have more ability to actually blast people with sniper rifles and stuff, but additionally, in the second game, they introduced this sort of leveling mechanic that I found to be incredibly freaking fun, which is essentially where in every battle, there is different objectives. Sometimes you're trying to destroy a giant base, or just kill enough enemy soldiers, or capture a flag, or defend a particular person on your team. But there's this niceness where while you're accomplishing objectives or defending points or just taking down targets, you're getting points, and by using these points, you unlock stuff for that battle. More intricate classes like the engineer, which can have little minions and a Gatling gun, or if you keep getting crazy kill streaks, in the second game, you can play as heroes, which is people like Luke Skywalker or Darth Maul or Yoda, and run around as pretty much a human blender and just chop up everybody. It is so freaking hilarious to actually get to be these people and just super jump and blast down sometimes 100 people by yourself. Now this is something that is incredibly cool because it pushes the power balance in these online matches in a really useful way. It's a very unique power struggle where one person gets a hero, so now you guys need to get a hero. You need to actually fight back. So when you're playing as a hero, sometimes it's cool to try and track down the enemy's god tier master Jedi and slay them so your team can very easily win. I think that these games, as clunky as they look, as much as I wish that they had actually improved the visual somewhat, I can't help but be incredibly nostalgic about it. I loved these games back in the day, and I'm not even the biggest Star Wars fan. I was just so enticed by the idea of being a singular soldier on these impossibly big battlefields. And I'm super excited to play the 64-person multiplayer online when the game actually comes out. I will say that the lack of upscaling in certain parts definitely looks broken. Like, a lot of the cutscenes actually run at 480p, their standard definition, and so because of it, they actually look downright incomplete. A lot of times they look shaky and stuff when you put them up to even 1080p. So it's one of those things that feels like they could have done a tiny bit more instead of just doing a straight flat re-release, but it is $30. I have said time and again that I wish that more companies would do this specifically. Take their games that are already good, that are already beloved, and just give us a way to access them on current consoles. And it's cool they did this. I hope that we see more crazy stuff like this. I hope we see more retro games just come out with straight up upscaling and a low price tag. When I'm playing space battles in this or trying to push back people into their base for a very complete crushing victory, I'm not thinking about how this game looks bad. I'm thinking about how fun it is. Honestly, this game is not for everybody. I do think this is a little bit for people that are already fans of it, but if you're used to this, if you're adapted to the world of Battlefront, I think this is definitely worth the price. But what do you guys think about it? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. You know what I just realized? I filmed this entire video and my camera did not start. Okay, well, pretend I was waving my hands around dramatically for all this. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.